It's finally official, Xbox have now dropped the first Xbox Game Pass drop of 2026, and oh boy, it's a really big one. This seems like a fantastic way for you to start the year, and today we have 15 games that are arriving onto Xbox Game Pass as part of your subscriptions. These are some huge games, so with that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's just dive right into it. First up, we actually had a couple of brand new additions which have already landed as of today on Xbox Game Pass, and the first of those being the enhanced edition of the original Little Nightmares. If you're unfamiliar with this one, you basically play as Six, a small child who's trapped inside the mall. It's a meta world full of creepy giant adults, and you wake up with nothing but a lighter. You must then have to hide, climb and run and escape by any means necessary. This edition though also brings up higher resolutions, improved graphics, 60 FPS and so much more, and it really brings it up to some new standards we've not yet seen within this series. It is a fantastic horror game, and even as someone who doesn't traditionally play horror games as a whole, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I do highly recommend you dive into it if you've never played it before. Then we have a brand new addition to Xbox as of today as well, and it's called Brews Bastards, and this one's actually pretty weird and a different take on an existing formula. It is a twin-stick dungeon crawler that takes you into the depths of Moonshine Tavern to battle against drunken hordes. The story kind of centers around the brewstone going missing, and with all of the magical booze drying up, it's up to you and your friends to fight your way through labyrinths of cellars, distilleries and other tavern-themed environments in search of it. This one actually has no Metacritic reviews at this moment in time, and only 7 reviews over on PC since its release last year, so it seems like a real little hidden indie gem. I have no idea if this one's going to be any good, but from the very little reviews so far, it does seem like a decent time, and I really hope this gets more popularity for the little development team. On the 8th of February, we are actually getting the original Final Fantasy, and this was the most recent edition which was part of the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection. This is a remodeled 2D take on the first game, and it means we can enjoy the timeless story told through charming retro graphics. It also contains all of the magic of the original with improved ease of play, which is fantastic to see. If you don't know the story, you essentially pick 4 warriors of light to save the world, and you can choose between different classes like a heavy-hitting warrior, a monk, or a white mage. The story is rather simple in today's world just due to how old the game is, and obviously due to the hardware limitations at the time, but it's still a good one for you to try. For me, I actually played Final Fantasy 1 a little while ago now thanks to emulators, and since then I did actually try out the Pixel Remaster, and it's a pretty great time to be honest. I do recommend you at least give it a go, just to see where this franchise all began. I was one of those out there who actually enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws when it first arrived, but since that release there have been a ton of updates and improvements, and it's now a very good Star Wars game. Instead of putting you in the shoes of a Jedi, you actually become Kay Vess, who is a criminal who skirts the fine line on the outer rim of the galaxy. You'll come across a wide variety of different locations throughout the story, mainly Tatooine and many others. There is also a mix of stealth elements and combat, but personally, going loud and attacking as many stormtroopers as possible is pretty incredible. If you do want to check out my original review of Outlaws before diving into it, you can do so here on our channel or with the link in the comments below. I can say that visually it's a really great game, but you can now try it for yourself on the 13th of January. We have seen quite a few kids games arriving onto Xbox Game Pass each month now, and although myself, like many of you, may not be the target demographic for this one, it is still good to see more games for kids coming to Xbox. My Little Pony: A Zephyr Heights Mystery is the next Outright Games entry to finally land on the service, and this one is like a sort of isometric adventure game that has you completing different tasks and then getting involved in some fun little mini games. The story premise is pretty simple. Well, to be honest, I kind of expected that as it's a kids game, but I do highly recommend you maybe grab a controller yourself and join your kids if you have them, as it's a decent family experience. I have no doubt it will have easy achievements as well, so if you want that easy gamer score bump, then this one's also for you. MIO Memories in Orbit is finally landing onto Xbox Game Pass towards the end of January, so I fully expect Xbox to cover this one nearer to its launch, but if you are a fan of Metroidvanias in general, like Silksong or even Nine Souls, then this will need to be at the top of your own wishlist. You'll be able to delve into this mesmerizing Metroidvania as we guide Neo through the vast expanse of the vessel. You won't be alone on your journey either, as you can actually repair damaged bots and then help them to unveil the Ark's past and gain valuable resources. The game really looks to amplify the movement abilities as well from what I've seen so far, so it brings a ton of variety that we usually don't get within these sorts of Metroidvania games. It's also looking really decent so far, and it's great to see this game that started as a Kickstarter arriving on our Xbox consoles rather soon. With all of the hype surrounding Requiem, it was only fitting for Xbox to finally add Resident Evil 8 to the service. This one, of course, is set years after Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and it follows Ethan Winters into a haunting European village, fighting for survival against brutal enemies as danger and mystery lurk around every single corner. I know it's one of the best rated games within the series, and many have said out there that includes a ton of scares, a fantastic story, and some of the best environments cutscenes they've ever seen. I, for one, have never been a fan of horror, so I can't actually even bring myself to play this one, and I can't give you my honest opinion, but judging by the overwhelmingly positive reviews across every single platform, it is safe to say it's an awesome addition to all of us Xbox Game Pass subscribers. I absolutely love strategy games, so Anno has always been one of my favourite franchises out there. Although we may not have got that game within the series on Xbox Game Pass to this day, we are in for a treat as a little indie team is making a game called Nova Roma and is looking to take on that behemoth of a franchise but in a sort of low poly stylization. As mentioned, it will be a city builder game focused on building a new Roman Empire away from the original one, and yes, with that low poly aesthetic, it has me very intrigued. You'll be building your empire up from nothing as you gain new citizens and new resources that ultimately fuel your empire and its many buildings. From stuff like residencies to giant dams, there's going to be a little something to utilize for every occasion. Of course, this one is landing into early access via game preview, but if you have access to a PC or the ROG Xbox Ally handhelds, then you can check this one out with Game Pass very, very soon. We have seen many more PC-only Game Pass editions over the past year, and although I do expect we'll see many more of these during 2026, since PC is actually Xbox's fastest growing sector, this next one is a brilliant gem, to be honest. MENACE is going to be the newest edition, and this is a sort of XCOM-like, and early previews are saying it's a very strong competitor and definitely worth keeping an eye on. It has you commanding a strike force of marines, mercenaries and criminals in a distant system cut off from the core worlds. This is known as the Wayback System and is going to be controlled by pirate warlords, questionable corporations and fractured planetary governments who struggle for new order. There are no aliens, which is a very unique take and means you'll still get traditional but of course futuristic vehicles like tanks, mechs and so much more. It looks bloody incredible, and Hooded Horse have a knack of making some cracking strategy games. It is getting much closer now to the launch of High on Life 2, and as someone who absolutely adored the first game and 100%ed it within a week of its release, I am beyond hyped for this sequel based on everything that I've seen so far. It is going to be a brand new story set 5 years after the original, and humans are now being placed in zoos instead of being smoked like drugs. It is still promising the same amount of cracking humour we know and love, but now without Justin Roiland at the helm. One of the biggest changes within this sequel though is that we can now move around levels with a skateboard instead of a standard sprint option. This new component offers more than just a speedy way to move about, as we'll be able to perform tricks and turn levels into skate parks or just use the board as a makeshift weapon within fights. It looks great and it finally comes out though on the 12th of February. If you're an Xbox Game Pass Premium member, then you're also getting 4 brand new and pretty great additions to this tier on the 7th of January. First up, we have Atomfall, and this one was released towards the start of 2025, and it continues Rebellion's habit of making very unique but very, very good games. This survival ever was actually one of my favourite ever settings, where you're put into the gloriously stylized British world within its end times, whereby you're tasked with marauding around the place and attempt to figure out how you woke up in a lab with amnesia during the apocalypse. It is a fantastic entry that is a completely different take for Rebellion, and I'm just so glad premium subscribers finally get to try it out. Lost in Random: The Eternal Die was an awesome roguelike action-adventure game that I had the pleasure of reviewing on its launch date. In this game, you journey through a dark, unpredictable realm where a living die holds the power to reshape your destiny. This sequel did try to dive a little bit deeper into that universe of Random, introducing us with new challenges and also surprises. I will say it's not the strongest roguelike that I've ever played, and I always recommend the likes of Hades above this one, but it's still a little decent indie experience in its own right. Rematch was another fantastic addition to the Xbox Game Pass library back in June for Ultimate members, and now it's also available for all of you premium members. I'm not the only one who enjoyed this one though, as over 3 million people have now actually played this game, and that is an astonishing milestone for this smaller developer. I would say if you're not a fan of football, don't let that put you off, as this game is completely different to something like FIFA. There are no offsides, fouls or positions here, it's just pure mayhem, and if you get a good team that knows what they're doing, you can absolutely dominate the opposition. If you have Premium, definitely check it out, as it's a real treat we don't get often. If you forgot about this next one, then I don't really blame you, as it really didn't get much great fanfare upon its release. This Space Marine Master Crafted Edition will now be available on Premium, and it's definitely worth trying, especially if you enjoyed the sequel. You can expect everything here from 120 FPS support, 4K resolution, some reworked controller support, along with character models and voice lines. Personally, I absolutely loved Space Marine 2 on its launch, and although this previous entry did not exactly keep up in terms of its sequel due to the nature of how old this one is, it's still worth experiencing and just taking on some of those gruesome orcs. In case you missed my update video just before Christmas now, the full 1.0 release of Terra Invicta is out right now across PC and Xbox Game Pass, and this one is promising a ton of new content for players to dive into. Surprisingly, it's also being published again by Hooded Horse, so it seems like they're having a very busy 2026. The full release introduces notable additions though, including a new 2026 starting scenario with an updated geopolitical situation, a revised interface with an improved tutorial, and even additional language options. I haven't played this game personally, but it's got insanely strong reviews across the board from fans of grand strategy games. If you enjoy this sort of more text heavy and choice driven experience, then this will be one for you to try out right now. Unfortunately though, as it is a brand new month of Xbox Game Pass games, we do have a few games leaving the service on the 15th of January, and a couple of them are actually quite notable. The games leaving are The Grinch Christmas Adventures, The Ascent, Neon White, Road 96, and Flintlock The Siege of Dawn. Of course, The Ascent and Road 96 did return to the service a few months back, and I do fully expect they might actually join again in the near future. However, I do highly recommend you try out both Flintlock and Neon White, as they are fantastic games and are both rather enjoyable. I do actually have a review live here on the channel for Flintlock, so do check that out if you are interested. Whilst here though, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video today covering all of the Game Pass news, and subscribe for a ton of Xbox content coming your way on a daily basis in 2026. If you do want to check out what single player games are coming your way to Xbox and Game Pass in the first half of 2026, then make sure to click the video on screen now.